Welcome to W&L Sports Weekly. I'm Jeremy Franklin. This week we'll speak with women's lacrosse coach Brooke O'Brien, men's lacrosse captain Matt Huber, and baseball captain Zach Loewenberg. But we start with a quick look back at the weekend in Washington in the athletics. Women's lacrosse knocked off 4th-ranked Salisbury 14-13 in overtime at Watt Field. Men's lacrosse fell 13-10 at home to number 20 Franklin and Marshall. Women's golfer Beth Ann Townsend won the Callaway Gardens Collegiate in Georgia, where the Generals tied for 5th place overall. And baseball dropped both games of an ODAC doubleheader at Ferrum, falling to the Panthers 6-1 and 6-4. Here with me in the studio is women's lacrosse coach Brooke O'Brien. Brooke, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You had the overtime win against Salisbury. You also knocked off a top 10 team by 1 goal the week before in Franklin and Marshall. How has your squad been able to pull out close games against high-level opponents?
We're enjoying the season, and we're working hard to get better every single day. I think that's our goal every day when we go to practice, to be better when we leave than when we arrived. And I've been really happy with the progression of improvement we've been seeing throughout, weekly in our practices. But I do think the basis of all of this was set in the fall and in the off season. Coach Yetter, our new strength and conditioning coach, has been really just integral to establishing a mindset and establishing, a grittiness and a hard work in our team that I think is shown on the field. Being down 4 goals twice to Salisbury and still finding the way to keep playing and to come back and win that game. I think I gave her all the credit of setting that mindset from the fall.
You've got a great senior class as well. What kind of contributions are you getting from that group, both on and off the field?
Yeah, they're a great class. They are a large class, which is really nice. I think, sometimes when you have a smaller senior class, it's hard for them to lead a group of 33. So a bigger class helps. And I think, they're making all sorts of different contributions. Some people are 4-year starters. Some people are, playing their first minutes. Some people, don't see a lot of time on the field, but are really the glue behind the scenes that, keeps everybody in check and helps everybody live our culture every day. So they're making all kinds of different contributions, and I think the dedication of the senior class is only amplified by the rest of the team.
W&L is now ranked 3rd in the country. You face number 1 Gettysburg on the road this Saturday. You've got number 7 York away from home later in the month. In between then, Dickinson and St. Mary's, 2 other very good programs.
Yes.
What are the Generals' goals as you continue to work your way through a very rigorous non-conference schedule?
Yeah, we're just taking it one day at a time. So right now, all we're focused on is Gettysburg on Saturday, and once that game is over, we'll start to think about Dickinson the following week. I think really focusing on one game at a time and one practice at a time to make sure that again we're better every single day.
What are your expectations for ODAC play in 2019?
The ODAC season is coming. We are, watching, we've seen some of the teams in the fall, and then, seeing some games as they're being played this spring. Definitely a lot of talent in the ODAC this year. We're, again, trying to focus on one game at a time, so we're not even thinking ODAC yet, but I think, obviously once it's time to play Randolph on the 19th, we'll be focused on that.
Brooke, thanks for joining us. Best of luck throughout the spring.
Thank you.
Joining me now is Matt Huber, senior lacrosse captain from Great River, New York. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
W&L's coming off of a tough home loss to Franklin and Marshall. How can the Generals bounce back as you face Randolph, Macon, and Mary Washington at Wilson Field this week?
Yeah, so obviously it was a disappointing outcome on Saturday, but we've adopted the mindset of just getting the next one and trying to focus on ourselves to get better this week in preparation for tonight.
You're on one of 3 offensive midfield lines that has been productive so far this season for W&L. How beneficial is it to have so much depth at that position?
Yeah, of course the depth's awesome for games. We have more guys with fresh legs ready to step up and step into roles. But I think the real benefit there is the depth throughout our whole team really just increases the level of competition in practice every day and just makes everyone better, top to bottom.
I know the Generals would like to have a couple more wins under your belt at this stage, but how is the tough schedule that you played so far? How has that prepped you for ODAC play?
So we usually play a tough out-of-conference schedule at the beginning of every season, and I think it allows us to really focus in on our mistakes and fine-tune our systems before we move on to ODAC play towards the middle of the season.
You're part of a senior class that has had a lot of success during your 4 years on campus. What are the team's goals for your final season?
So the way we set up our goals is a pyramid system. So our foundational goals are great team chemistry and getting better every day. So we work on that, and then we have a mid-level goal of achieving an ODAC championship, and then at the very top of our pyramid is a national championship. So we just kind of focus on one day at a time, and hopefully our foundational goals will lead us to our upper goals on the pyramid.
Matt, thanks for joining us. Best of luck with the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me.
With me in the studio is Zach Loewenberg, senior baseball captain from Baltimore. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
W&L is currently 6-5 on the year. Give us a progress report on the season so far.
Yeah, it's been a good start. A lot of positives that can definitely come from the 11 games we've had. We've definitely faced some tough competition, whether it's here in Lexington or down on the road in North Carolina and Georgia, but it's all about just building the program. A lot of young guys, and it's about maturing and developing each day, and a lot of good pieces moving forward, and we think we have our best brand of baseball still to come, and I think we've only just scratched the surface in regards to our potential.
Battling the weather is always a part of the early season schedule for W&L and probably any Division III team, but it seems like this year's been tougher than most. How do you deal with all the frequent postponements and reschedules?
Yeah, it definitely hasn't been ideal, but when you look at it, there's only so much you can control. So from a player perspective, we just have to adjust and adapt each day, and our coaches have done a great job of really keeping us on point and making sure we maximize our time, whether it's on the field, in the cages, in the gym. And from a player standpoint, it can be a pain, but when you get down to it, whether you play on a weekday or weekend, or whether it's 30 degrees or 60, once you step in between the lines, you kind of forget about it and just focus on the game at hand.
What are the keys to a successful season at the plate for W&L?
Well, it's definitely something that develops over time. The biggest thing in my eyes is just to be able to really simplify the game if you can. There's a lot of moving parts and things that you can't control, and Coach Cohen always talks to us in practice about focusing on those things that you can control. Obviously, you can't determine or choose what the pitcher's going to throw or where he's going to throw it, but what you can focus on is kind of the plan and approach that comes with each at bat. So if you can simplify things and really be able to slow the game down, that's going to give you an opportunity to really take advantage of each at bat that you have and focus on one pitch at a time.
The Generals begin a 6-game homestand this week. You're slated to play 10 games at Dick-Smith Field in March. How important is it to capitalize on your home field advantage over the next few weeks?
It's definitely important, and we're excited to kind of stay at home and play these next 10 games, but we're going to take them one at a time. With a lot of them being ODAC play, the intensity increases just a little bit and kind of adds the competition. So to be able to play at home just adds a level of comfortability that we're not going to take for granted, and really focus on the first game tomorrow and then later this weekend to really maximize the time we have at our own field.
Zach, thanks for joining us. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
It's time now for a look at the upcoming weekend. The Division III Wrestling Championship will take place in Roanoke, where Rex Halliburton will represent the Generals. On Saturday, women's tennis plays host to ODAC foes Shenandoah and Virginia Wesleyan. Baseball will meet Lynchburg in a conference doubleheader at Dick-Smith Field. Men's lacrosse opens up ODAC play against Randolph-Macon, while women's lacrosse hits the road to face top-ranked Gettysburg. On Sunday, men's tennis visits number 21 Johns Hopkins, and women's tennis welcomes in Longwood. For W&L Sports Weekly, I'm Jeremy Franklin. Thanks for watching.